Howdy folks, it's been a little while since I made a video here, and we're finally coming along on our F-150 here. And I tell you what, it's been nothing but a nightmare with these axles. I got this one installed. I just got the drum sitting on it here. But I mean, to tell you what, it's been a nightmare with these things. Because this is a 28 spline rear end, and the 31 spline axles are really easy to find. They're not hard at all. But the problem is the 28 spline, you can find them, but the problem with it is they use a different style bearing. And this is the style bearing that I like, which is the better style. It's called the taper bearing / needle bearing. Thunder in here. But anyway, I want to make this video here because it's been a little while since I posted it, and I've been wanting to make some videos. But I mean, it has been a nightmare. And this, take a good look at this axle. This is a hard axle to find. This is almost impossible to find. But it's totally different. What you got to watch out for is these 28 spline axles like this are not all the same. They got another axle that's pretty close to this, but it's different. See how it tapers right here? And you go up a little bit, it tapers right here. And then you go up a little bit more, and it tapers right here. So it tapers in 3 different spots. Here, here, and right here. Then we go up, and this is our 28 spline. And it's been a nightmare. But I like this style bearing and this style seal because it's a way better design. And once the gear oil gets up in there, it helps lubricate them better. The other version they have, which I don't like that style bearing, is it has a different retainer on here. It's actually shorter than this one. It's just got a rubber seal inside on this side of the bearing and one on the other side. And the difference too that you got to watch out for is these flanges are not all the same. And I'm definitely going to make a video showing the difference between these flanges right here. You got to watch out for these. And the problem too is I got another axle just like this, the exact same length. This axle right here is 31 and roughly 7/8 long, almost 2 inches. And that is measuring from this side of the axle where my finger is all the way up to the end of the spline. It's 31 and 7/8, almost 2 inches. Some people, and where I bought mine off eBay, this one's from eBay, this one was posted as 32 inches, but it's the same length. This is the exact same axle as what's on this side. Exact same thing. But I like that better bearing. It's just way better. Because the other bearing is like a ball bearing style. It's not, it don't have those needles in here like this one does. It's a ball bearing, and I don't like those because of the seals. Because what happened is on the other axle that I pulled out of this truck, the seal actually fell out and then let all the gear oil and everything just run right out of the rear end. That's not good. That's why I got this style bearing. And if you need this style bearing, I want to thank Belts Towing on YouTube for that. A big shout out to him, because if it wasn't for him, this is a huge help. But this is an A20 bearing. And you go up to O'Reilly's and get this. Don't go anywhere else. Don't go to AutoZone. Don't go to Advance, anywhere like that. Because the problem is they sell this ring right here. And they sell this bearing, but they don't come with the seal. So you're going to pay about 20 bucks just to get the seal. To get the whole, 3 pieces. The one, the retainer, the actual bearing itself, and then the actual seal. It's almost 20 bucks for that. Go to O'Reilly's, you can get it. You can get all 3 here. It's got the ring, the bearing, and the seal down here, all for 15 bucks. That's the best place to get them. Because I looked all over for this bearing, to find this bearing. And that's the best deal you can get. It's about 15 bucks. Because I looked at LMC, and they were wanting almost $100 and some odd just for all this. just for this, the seal, the bearing, and this ring. And that's ridiculous. And something else I want to point out, if you got these axles, you got to watch out. Now if you got the 31 spline, you don't have to worry about it, but this is a 28. You got to watch out for the diameter. If these bearings weren't on here, but the diameter of this axle down in here is different. Because I was hoping I could take my other 28 spline and just take and buy this style bearing and put that on it and just run that style, but it ain't gonna work because this is actually smaller. So that's why you can't interchange. You can't interchange the bearings at all. And this is, again, this is an A20. Go to O'Reilly's and get it because it's like 15 bucks. That's the best deal because it's got the seal, the bearing, and the ring. And make sure when you buy it, because I run into the one problem, I went all the way up there and opened the box, and it had the one of it was like two, I think it might have been 2 or 3 boxes, I can't remember correctly, but I ended up having to take, and they had to pull the last box off. I had to go through 3 boxes because they didn't have all 3 things. And if you look online at their picture at A20 on O'Reillys.com, it's supposed to have the seal, the bearing, and the ring. And the one box, the first one I got, it had the bearing and the seal, but no ring. And you got to have that ring. That's what keeps this bearing on. All this presses on. And then the second box, it had the ring and the bearing, but no seal. And finally on the third one that I just got, it's got all 3 like it's supposed to be. Because it's supposed to come with all 3 of these. Because you got to have all 3. So make sure, open box, check it. Make sure it's got the seal in there and the bearing and this ring. Because you got to have it. It's really important. But I want to apologize for not making a lot of videos here lately. I've just been real busy working and trying to get this actual situation straight, and finally got it straight. And these axles, I don't know what it is, but they're almost impossible to find. This is a hard axle to find. I mean, I looked and looked and looked trying to find this one. And you got to watch out. There's another 28 spline you got to watch out. It's about 1 inch longer than this one. It's actually not that much longer. And those are like for the E150 and E100 bands. So you got to watch out for that. Because that was one axle that I bought. Ended up being about 1 inch too long. It took the exact same bearing and the exact same spline, the 28 spline, but it was about 1 inch too long. But these axles are hard to find. Couldn't find them anywhere. And finally, somebody had them on eBay, and this one right here was 85 bucks altogether, shipping and everything. But the only bad part, I had to buy like 3 others before I finally found this one. Because the other 3 were all wrong. One was 31 spline, then the second was 28, but it was 1 inch longer. And the other one was completely different because it had that ball bearing style, and I don't like that. Because it's better to run this axle because it's just a whole lot better. Plus the gear oil will get up in these bearings and help keep it cool and lubricate it a lot better. Well, I'm finally getting there now. I'm happy about that because I'm ready to put this to rest. I can't really do anything else to this truck until this is straight. Can't move it or anything. These are 3/4 inch nuts. You got 4 of them. I'm gonna get this bad boy in here, and then once you get this done, we'll fill this gear oil. We'll fill the rear end up with gear oil, and then we'll hopefully start working on getting the brakes straight. I'm gonna have to replace some of these lines, not because they were leaking, but I bent them a little bit. And they're not that much anyway, but I'm going to replace all these lines on the back of this rear end. But we're finally getting somewhere on it. I don't know why it's been such a nightmare with these axles with this truck, but I finally got it straight now. Got my backing plate, got all that fixed up. I had to get new brake shoes and all that good stuff. We're finally getting there. Thank goodness. Been a nightmare. It really has. Hard to do this one hand. There we go. We're getting there. I'm gonna buy all new wheel cylinders and put new brake lines on here. And go through all that. I'll get new shoes, drums, and all that good stuff. I want to get this truck so I can move it around. And as far as the 302, what I'm gonna do is I was gonna take and pull it out and I was gonna try and re-ring it and rebuild it just to get it so get something going. Because the main thing why I'm working on this truck's trying to get it straight is I really need a second vehicle bad. That makes it so hard just having one. But this 302, I'm gonna pull that out and I'm gonna try and find another good 302 and put in it. It runs for now, but it's definitely coming out because this motor's pretty much had it. It's pretty much junk. It's got a blowed head gasket and anytime you have it like that, it pretty much ruins all the bearings and lifters and everything else. There ain't no point in trying to put a band-aid on something when it ain't really worth it. So this motor is going to come out and we'll go look for another 302. So once we get our rear end done back here and get our brakes straight, then we can finally come to get another motor in it, and hopefully once that's done, it shouldn't be too bad then. It's not a bad truck. It's solid. It's a pretty solid truck, really. Most of them are all rotted out in the bottom of the fenders and the rockers, but this one's like perfect. I mean, even the cab corners are good. And I just don't want to see this truck get scrapped. It's too nice of a truck. One thing I like about it too, and I like them wheels. Those wheels make it look so much nicer. If y'all look back in my previous videos, it had them ugly old aluminum wheels somebody put on it. And, I mean, they look okay, but they just wasn't my taste on wheels. I just didn't like them, so I bought these chrome ones and put on it, and it looks so much better. Tires ain't worth nothing, but the wheels look a whole lot better. But one thing I like about this truck, you can shut this door and it shuts perfect. I mean, it's just too nice of a truck. It ain't perfect, but way better than what I got currently. If somebody ever comes along and, you know, interested in buying or something, I'm trying to do a lot of this myself. That way I can kind of sell it for a reasonable price and stuff. I don't want to sell it, but if somebody ever came along and, you know, the right amount of money, money talks, I'll sell it and I'll try and find a little bit newer one. But I don't really plan on selling it. I want to get it going. I mean, the door's shut just perfect on this thing. And the bed ain't too terrible. One thing I love about this truck is it's got that sliding back glass. That's so much nicer. I like that sliding back glass. It's got nice, decent mirrors. I'm definitely going to put a radio in this thing eventually. Once we get it all running and, you know, get it where I know it's reliable and all that good stuff. Probably buy a decent radio for it. Take this old one out and put something decent in it. Apologize for the video being kind of dark. I mean, the headliner is still in decent shape. Most of them are all hanging down and sagging and everything else and coming all to pieces. This one's like perfect. Besides it being faded a little bit, I mean, it's in really good shape. It's just too nice of a truck. I mean, even the rockers are perfect on this thing. It's a really solid truck. I mean, it's still got the original paint on the floor. It's dirty. One thing I am going to do down the road, though, another thing that will be done once I do really get it running, is I'm going to put a floor shift column in it and do away with this shift column, and I'm going to look around, see if I could find a nice B&M floor shifter and put that in here. I just don't like this column design. It's just not safe. And that's kind of one of them Ford defects. Mainly I say that because if you look down here, it's no, it's hard to see, but it's on the bottom of the column. It's supposed to be teeth that when you pull the shifter towards you and then pull it down and drive or reverse, you know, whatever gear you're going into, and locks it in there, so it's no way, you know, it can come out. Because what happens, this truck wasn't all the way in park and it rolled back and destroyed that door over there. It's fixed now with that one right there. It's fixed now. And that's why I'm going to put a floor shift. Get a B&M floor shifter and put it that way. It locks it in park. There's no way it can come out unless you actually pull it up and then pull it down and drive. And that's actually a Ford defect because I was actually reading the sticker on the dash. It's hard to read. I apologize for the being dark, but it says important safety precaution. Make sure the gear